hands together for the late morning program with your host, Namras.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the late morning program with Namras. This is episode 35. We're going to change it up a little today. My friend Toshan and Devansh. So, basically, in the past, I've had kind of older guests, and I haven't got the angle of like younger guests. So now I have my two friends here. Toshan, how old are you?
I'm 20.
I'm 19.
Man, that's awesome. So, I asked you what generation you were. Generation Z or something?
Is that what I
Gen
said? I
Z.
completely forgot what
I don't think
said.
it's Z.
It is.
Because I think my son is Z. Because it's like 2000.
It
Oh,
said
no, you guys were
ages-
born around
Or is it
2000,
like
right?
I was born in 2000.
Oh,
yeah, 2001.
You're so young. Anyways, welcome to the show. I appreciate you guys doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, totally. So, I just want to ask a little bit about your lives. I mean, let's just start out with Devansh.
Right.
So you grew up in New Jersey,
Yes. Yeah.
and your parents are from India.
Yeah. My mom is from Mathura.
That's so
and-
cool.
Yeah.
I love your mom. She's awesome.
Yeah. Me too. And my dad is from Gujarat.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
When did they come here?
yeah, I'll tell you. My dad came over here when he was 19. So yeah, when he was my age. Yeah,
Really?
he came to America. And he went to CCM, which is County College
Yeah.
of Morris.
Yeah. Cool.
And then he was like working like 3 jobs and CCM at the same time. So makes me feel great that he was the same age as me. And yes. So he was working here, and then he married my mom in, I should know this, but 1990 something. I
Okay.
want to say 4.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and then she came over, and then I was not born.
So he went back to marry her and then came over here. Back here.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's usually what happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were arranged.
Right.
So I think those are the details. I wasn't there, so.
Oh man, this is gonna be a funny episode. And Toshan, your parents similar or?
No, they both. I was born in India.
Oh, you were born in India.
I was
Nice.
born in India, 2000. Then we moved to Connecticut when I was 3, 2003,
Yeah,
and it's been here since. We go back to visit, but like we never moved back.
to Connecticut.
Back to India. Like
Oh yeah, back to India. Right,
Connecticut, then Minnesota, and then we came to Jersey in 2008.
Right.
Oh.
Why Connecticut? Was like jobs
Just
and
dad's
things.
job, yeah.
Right.
We were supposed to go back to India. Like the plan was always to go back to India until until all of a sudden it wasn't. I don't know. It was like 2013 or something.
thing-
We were like,
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna stay.
The thing that's interesting that I think I spoke about it in my other episodes was that like we look Indian, but we're actually like fully American in the sense of like we speak like Americans.
Yeah.
We like our culture. I mean, we do have Indian culture, but like it's funny. Like I mentioned this earlier. Like when you guys came here, you brought something for me and like my parents. Like
Yeah.
you bought gulab jamuns and you bought like bananas. It's like, and I was like, oh, the culture is alive with these young people. That's so awesome. And then you guys said, actually, no, it was my parents. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys feel about like, what are your experiences like? I mean, this is a broad question. But what do you feel like your experience being Indian, but at the same time being American? You're like in two worlds,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't fail to remind me that I'm an ABCD.
ABCD, American born,
Born,
confused,
confused,
AC.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're confused?
I mean, maybe when I was younger, like, I'd say, like when you grow up, there's a lot of like identity
Yeah.
crisis. Well, I mean, it's not a crisis, but
I mean, remember going through that like when you're at your age. Do you feel like that?
I mean, so like, well, there's this random quote that I remember. It was like, when I ate American food, I realized I was Indian, And then when I went to India and looked at their toilets, I realized it was American. It's just like we don't know where we fit in. Like we're American, but not really. But we're
Yeah.
Indian, but not really.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, it depends on who you hang out with.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
in high school and like before then, it was always like I didn't feel like I fit in. Like I was confused because I was like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I got to college and I found people that are just as confused as me.
Yeah.
So we're
Right.
confused together, so it's okay.
You see, I didn't really have that experience because in my high school there was like a pretty large Indian population.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were Indians around me.
Where'd you go to high school?
Parsippany Hills High School.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So Parsippany, Pars India. That's the joke.
Right.
But actually, I remember. So I went to Catholic school actually.
Really?
Yeah, I went to
I didn't know
Catholic
that.
school because that's where my mom got a job, and I was like 3, 5, so I couldn't go to public school alone and go on the bus.
Right.
So I just went to Catholic school till 5th grade, and then that's my mom's like, okay, he's old enough to take the bus, and also my sister was born at
Right.
that time anyway.
Right.
So I went to Catholic school, so so when I transitioned to public school, I remember thinking, I'm not gonna hang out with the Indians, because
Really?
I
You
remember
thought that?
I thought that, yeah. I was like, I don't want to be like, because I don't know why, but my friends in Catholic school, they psyched me out. They said, you're going to get bullied so hard. And this is interesting because in the media, the only Indian people you saw on TV were like, really stereotypical,
Right.
like fobs. So
Right.
I thought that's what it was.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I'm trying to be as normal as possible and, try to fit in.
Normal.
Yeah,
Whatever the
normal.
concept of normal is.
Right.
Yeah. White.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have the same experience?
So there was a lot of Indians in my high school too, but
Montville
was,
High?
like, Montville High is
Really?
like, well, it's not like as much as Parsippany, nowhere near as much as Parsippany,
Right.
but like a decent amount. Like there was like
Yeah.
at least 10, 15.
You
in
know
my
what it
school.
is that before you make your point, the Indians that were in like Parsippany and that area, they spilled into like
Exactly.
the outer areas like Montville, Pine Brook, and like all these
Like
other
Boonton
places.
and all those other
Yeah,
places,
Boonton. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So like it wasn't that Indian. Like they were Indian, but they weren't Indian. Like they weren't cultured. They would hide their culture. They would no Indian food at school. That's not allowed because that's
Oh,
gross.
yeah, I
So like
remember
they
that.
were the
Yeah.
ones that were always hiding it.
Yeah.
And then like I went to school with Hari until middle school.
Right.
And then even middle school, like me and him were the only ones that were even slightly Indian. Like we're all
Wow.
Indian, of course, but like we were the only two that like went to temple, like, and we were open about going to temple.
Yeah.
Because we were taught to be open about going to temple.
Right.
But like we didn't really care what other people thought until like high school, and then I realized that that's when I first realized that it was weird to go to temple, or like different to go to temple.
Right.
And like I was fortunate enough to not have that feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go to temple, but maybe like, oh, it's cool that I go to temple. And like that's only because people older than me like to set the example of like, oh, that's cool, and like it's important to be like close to your culture.
Yeah.
And like be open about who you are and what you enjoy.
Yeah.
And like if they hadn't done that, I probably would be like, screw temple, that sucks. Like that's
Yeah.
weird. I just want to like that. I ruined my Sunday nights and Friday nights. Like I should keep, like doing whatever.
Right.
Instead, I got like, oh, this is cool. Like, I have something to believe in and like something to keep my strength during the day and during the year. And then like, I'm different from everyone else. I'm not just one of those other Indian kids that just sit there and like
Right.
eat burgers and like act like they're not Indian when they are Indian.
Right. That's really interesting. So did that kind of thinking ever? I mean, you have to have some kind of like real faith when it comes to that kind of thinking, right? So did that ever kind of like waver, like as going through high school?
I mean, I think they're separate things. Like my faith, I don't think ever wavered because of like school. It
Right.
just wavered in general
Right.
because I had questions and stuff. But
Yeah, of course.
I don't think they were like connected.
Mhm.
It was more of me questioning because like I was like, oh, I don't know if this is like for me or if like God exists and things like that. But it wasn't because of what other people said in school or like how they acted. It was more of just like my own questions.
Right. What about you? Did you have like similar experience like that when it came to how you kind of lived your temple life as well as your school life?
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to keep them separate like I had
Yeah.
my temple friends and then I had my
Yeah.
school friends, and it wasn't until I was older and more confident and actually knew about Christian consciousness and gave it a try that I started openly talking about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, growing up, I was like, I called it church. I called,
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah.
Wait, like on purpose or
Yeah.
just so the other person could like relate with it, right?
Just so
Yeah.
there are no questions that I have to answer.
Right.
I remember.
Which
okay.
church do you go to?
Oh, yeah, that one.
The big house on the hill.
Yeah. You wouldn't hear about it. You wouldn't know.
You want to know about it.
No, but I remember when I went to India when I was 12, I had not it was the Narsingha Kavach.
Yeah.
It looked like that, but it was for Hanuman.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they would ask, "Oh, what is that?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's like a silver bullet to kill werewolves." Yeah, I just anything I could, I just like deflect.
Oh my lord, that's funny.
I know, and then but then slowly I was like, oh, it's religious, and then I was like, oh, it's like part of Hinduism,
Right.
So slowly I like own up to it.
I spoke about this in my podcast with Venkata. I don't know if you saw it, but like if I'm wearing dhoti and kurta and tilak and Tulsi tells me to go to the store to get something, sometimes people are like, they would put on pants and go to the store, right? But I'm just like, I'm gonna go to the store like this because this is who I am.
Yeah.
Like take it or leave it. I don't, like this is America, yo. Like we can do whatever we want. Like this is who I am. And like if you're like that, I feel like people pick up on that. But I didn't get to that.
Exactly, like, it
until
wasn't
like
always like
now.
that, right?
Yeah.
I'm freaking 35 years old. I mean, it wasn't now. It was like maybe 5 years ago. But like, do you feel like you're there yet, or maybe not?
I think it's like, it's also like you were saying, like when as you grew up, like it became more of like, oh, it's religious, and then you were like becoming more and more specific. It's not just that you're growing up, it's also the people you're talking to are also growing up. So like their views are also more open.
Yeah.
So that's
a good
where
point.
it's like, it's helpful to be more open with them because they're more understanding as they grow up. So like it's also, but then you also have the opposite effect. As people get even older, they become even more closed off. And like those are the people that are kind of like hard to work with because they're the loud ones. And like when you go to the store and you're wearing a dhoti, those are the ones that are like looking at you weird or pointing at you or tell their kids to look at you.
Right.
And like those are the ones you have to be kind of worried about. But then you realize that like they literally don't matter at all. Like you'll never see them ever again in your life.
Yeah.
And like whatever they think about you doesn't affect you. And I think that's when it's okay, or like it becomes more okay to go out in like a dhoti.
Yeah. I haven't ever gotten any like weird looks or anything like that.
At least that you noticed.
At least that I noticed. Yeah. What about you? Did you
Am I? Oh yeah, I did not want to be seen in public. In the dhoti. Remember when we went to Morristown?
Yeah.
Harinam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was kind of like a big step for me.
Really?
Yeah, because
So for people don't know, we went on Harinam to this town near the temple.
Yeah.
It's called Morristown. I used to work in that square, by the
Yeah.
way. So it's like a square where it's like a quad basically, and there's like lawn and stores and stuff. So we went on Harinam there. We never do that really. Like we hardly ever do that.
No.
But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, like there's the chance that someone might see me. So like I came in a cap and sunglasses and like a chadar.
It's hot out.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was like, this is stupid. What am I doing? Like
You thought that during the Harinam?
No. I thought like me wearing the glasses.
I
and
know,
hat.
but you thought that during the Harinam or like later?
I don't remember, but I feel that now.
Okay, yeah, of
I
course.
was like, and I was like, look, we're having like so much fun. Why wouldn't I own it? Like,
Right.
I mean, it was fun, and
Yeah.
but yeah, going to the store was like a no, and but it was weird. But like, that's where like New York Ruth actually like comes in. Even like the subway over there, I was like, I would not want to wear anything.
Oh yeah, because you're wearing you're like
Yeah.
fully,
Yeah.
But like also it's New York City.
Yeah.
And it's like a completely
exactly.
different world. Like it's
Totally.
okay. It doesn't matter what
Totally.
you're doing.
Yeah.
It's New York City. No one's gonna say anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And like you're gonna get weird looks, but you're also gonna be giving weird
Yeah,
looks.
but
So
there's
it's
also
like
like 1,000 of us.
exactly.
Over
So
there,
like
so.
like the first thing that when you were talking about going to the store in Doti, the first thing that I thought about was like, oh, like the only public event that I can think of that the first thing that comes to my mind is New York Ruth.
Yeah.
But like the difference is New York Ruth is like there's thousands of us. Like we don't stand out. Like we're standing out, but we fit right in. Like it's not us, it's all of us together.
Yes,
So like
yes.
going to the store is way harder because you're alone.
Yeah. It's interesting. Just like this, just the thought of being different is interesting. I mean, I feel that it takes some time to feel that okay with that, with being different, and I got over it. I think I'm over it now, and I own it now. But I think about like my kids, and I think about you guys, and like culturally, like your peers, like Indian kids who are totally not okay with it. They just kind of like are completely separate. They want to be completely separate from the culture, from the religion, and everything. Do you have friends like that? I'm sure you do.
Not really friends, but people I know.
Okay, people you know. Yeah.
I do have friends.
Is there a Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
What's it like? Like,
Being friends with them, and they're like they're so much different than you because they want to separate themselves, but you don't want to separate yourself. You're just like this is a part of your life.
yeah, it's fine. It's I believe like everyone has their own journey. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna not be their friends because they're struggling with their identity. I feel like
Right.
that's when you need the friend the most.
Wow.
So, it's not really like that important. It's not like as you think. It's just it's like normal. You don't even think about it.
Right.
You're just their friend.
Right. And you said you have like more acquaintances
Like
like
just
that.
people I know of. Just because like at least for them it's like they want to hide it, and like I'm the exact opposite, so they won't come and talk to me, or they won't want to be friends with me.
Oh,
it's not
really?
that like I was friends and then like we separated because like like you want to hide it and I don't want to hide it. It was more of just like we never became friends because like we were just so different,
Yeah.
and like it's difficult to become friends with people that are different, or like not different but like different ideas.
Yeah.
So like most of my friends are more like supportive of it, and like they also like want to be open with their own like issues, or not issues but like their own differences.
Yeah.
And like that's just like how my friend group mostly is.
Right. How do you explain, like, did you ever have to explain, like, okay, your religion has, like, all kinds of races in it, too?
I don't think you can explain it. I think they just have to see it. Like I took some of my friends to New York Rut, and they were like, what the heck? There's so many people here, and there's so like they expected just like a sea of Indians, but it's not
Right.
like that at all.
Right.
Especially at New York Rut.
Yeah.
And like they came and they were like, why are there so many white people here?
That's interesting. Did you ever...
Yeah, after like my senior prom, like people go on like the prom weekends and
Man, I wish I went to prom. Anyway.
so we went to my friend's house in New York, and then
Yeah.
but my mom was like, "No, you're coming to New York Rut," and I'm like, "But it's like the same weekend. What do I do?" And she's like, "Just bring them." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, fine, sure." You can't. It's my mom. You can't not listen to her.
Right, right.
So yeah, I brought them and we went on Rut. We didn't stay long because, I guess they wanted to see other parts of the city, but they were like super open to it. And I took them to the Prashadam line as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and one of my friends actually took to the Bhakti Center. I feel like the Bhakti Center is like such an easy way to explain
Right.
because they already cater to like non-devotees and everything, and
Yeah.
it's
Like a nice stepping stool.
yeah, it's great. And just the temple room, like, because it's all the paintings, the deities are there.
Yeah.
The walls are made of cow dung.
Yeah.
So it's like super authentic. Also, they have books there. And then,
Yeah.
it was great. I took her there and it was amazing. She was open to everything, and yeah.
So, regarding like parents wise, like I see you guys are like really good kids, What do you think is like attributed like you should like saying what do you think is like the reason for like I'm saying good in the sense of like you
Yeah.
guys are like polite and cultured and cultured, yeah.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm like sort of cultured. Like you guys are cultured too, but you grew up here. Like you're not gonna get that same kind of culture from other people like who don't have Indian parents, right? It's like mostly the Indian parents. Like, did they like teach you that, or did it like? I'm just trying to pick your brain about something.
Okay.
Like, did you learn from their example, or did they like specifically say like you have to do it like this?
I think it's like they first tell you, and that tells you that there's like an existence of being polite, like you have to be polite, and then from there the rest is taught by example. Like if
Right.
they were just acting by example, I would never picked up on it because
Yeah.
it's very like small, right? It's like little things like bringing food to someone's house or like opening the door or some crazy things like that.
Little things.
You would never like notice them until they tell you, and then you see them do
Yeah.
it. So it's a
Right.
mix of both. Is like
All right.
how at least I tried to learn.
Interesting. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of like my parents telling me and I'm like me not understanding, but just like doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And then like you just find it like at college, like my mom tells me you have to close the blinds when it's dark out.
Right.
I don't understand why, but I just do it. And then
What if you're like changing or something?
well, yeah, obviously then, but it's just like as soon as the sun sets, the blinds close. And I'm
Right,
like,
right.
Fine. So I'm at college and I'm like, and then when you had roommates, I'm like, oh, the sun is setting. We have to close the blinds.
Your mom's head is like like telling you.
Yeah, yeah, and they're like, or like not drinking water while you're eating.
Right. Stuff like that.
Yeah, so like I just don't do it, and then when my friends ask, I'm like, you just can't do it. It's like it's like Ayurveda.
Oh man, that's so funny. I was gonna ask you something about again another thing about parents. What was that? Pen and paper and write stuff down while I have this conversation. Because there's some really good points that I wanted to bring out. Did I can't remember what I was gonna say. Anyways, so I just want to continue to talk about like for education wise, when I was your age, I wish someone told me do something that's gonna make money.
Really?
Don't do something that is like fulfilling or like is your interest.
Really?
What do you think about that?
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No.
I
think
it's
we've
a
had this
mix.
conversation before.
I think so. I think it's a mix. It's like the way, like, at least for me, like I'm computer science, like the direct, like go
That's
to
what
the
I should have
corporate
done.
world.
That's what I
I
should have
mean-
done. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. But like you never know, right? Like if you could go back, would you have changed that?
Yes, 100%, man.
Really?
100%. I would have been making more money right now if I had a computer science degree. If I if I
But
knew
would you
more.
have enjoyed your 4 years?
No, probably
Yeah.
not. But it doesn't. But listen, it doesn't make a difference to
But
me
those
now.
4 years shape everything, right?
Yeah. You wouldn't be the same person.
Would you be the same person?
Yeah, I think I would.
Really?
No, because you had a history degree, right?
Yeah. So the reason why it was fun because it was like, okay, this is all about history and about writing papers about history and reading a lot about history. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It was fun. But when I look back on it, do I remember any of that stuff? Not really. And did it shape me? Sort of, loosely.
Wait, did you finish the
Yeah.
4 years? Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought you went to Vrindavan when you were like,
No, I did 2 years.
yeah.
And then I went to the ashram for like a year. Then I
Okay.
did another 2 years and finished it.
Okay.
And then I went to Vrindavan.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, was the ashram in Vrindavan as well?
No, the ashram was in New York.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So then what was okay, I guess
Yeah,
I'm
go for
asking
it, man.
questions.
This is like a free for
what
all.
was the experience like? Because I guess like I'm in my second year now and I'm about to finish, so I would be in the age you are.
Yeah.
Like, what makes you just do 2 years of college? Wait, was it commute or did you sleep?
No, it was a commute.
Okay, so it's a little different experience, but
I mean, it was not that far.
yeah. No, I'm just saying it's a different experience. Like actually, like staying away
Yes,
from home.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
But before I get to that, like, what made you like I want to go to the ashram like 2 years into college.
Well, what happened before the ashram, before college, was that I had friends who were in the ashram, and I went to the Bhakti Center. It wasn't called the Bhakti Center at the time. It was called the Bhaktivedanta Ashram at the sanctuary. So I had friends, I had brahmachari friends there, and I was like, oh, I want to be like these guys. These guys are awesome. They're young. They're living in the ashram. They're doing the whole devotee thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to do that. So I talked to the devotee, the leader, and he was like, you're going to go to college, right? So why don't you do 2 years of college and then come back?
Oh, so that was always the plan?
Yeah, that was the plan.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So I did 2 years and then of college, and then I went to the ashram for 1 year, a little bit over 1 year. And then I was like, sorry. I stayed in the ashram for like a little while. Then I went to college and I came back and went to the ashram. And then they're like, okay, a year's up. Go finish at university. Like
so
they
they
kicked
made you
me
go.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're like, you got to go. I was like, no, I want to stay. Like, this is awesome. And they're like, no, you got to finish your degree. So I finished my degree. Then I came back to the ashram for another year.
Yeah.
And then I went to Vrindavan for a year and a half.
Mm.
So what it was just like, it's like influence of peers, like, and people you want to be like, you know?
Okay.
That's what I would say in short.
Mm.
So when you went back to college from the ashram,
Yeah.
like, were you just waiting to go back to the ashram, or like, how'd you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, I was like,
Like, did you still want to be like a history teacher?
yeah, I did. It's so some sort of way, but I was more into like, I want to see if I can go back to the ashram and see what it's all about again, you know, and have that same experience, because it was like a real good brotherhood and like friends and like spiritual awakening in some sort of way. It was really nice. So I didn't like fully apply myself like as much as I did in my first 2 years, I would say. So, but I wanted to get my degree because they're like, you should get your degree. And then I was like, that's kind of smart. It's like something to fall back on, you know?
What did your parents think about it?
My parents were really like not regular Indian parents. Like they were like cool with whatever I did. Like my dad came here when he was like 17.
Yeah.
I don't even know what year that was. It was like 50
60.
years ago or something like that. Something like that. I'm not good at math. Anyways, but yeah, he went to like University of Bridgeport, and he was like a hippie, and he was a complete like non-devotee.
Okay.
And then he found Krishna consciousness around the time of my birth.
Yeah.
And then, you know, but my sister was the one who kind of pushed me in grades and stuff.
Yeah.
Like my parents didn't at all. Like if I got C's, they're like, "Oh, very good." Cause they're like, what number is this? And I'm like, 70, and they're like, 70? That's so good.
Because
In India,
it's
like
40s is passing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic. But I got okay. Well, I'm a little out myself, but I'm finishing in 1C in college. Like in college, and
It's okay, man.
and my parents are like, how could you do that? How could you do this? It's like an ultimate betrayal. Even my advisor was disappointed in me. She's like, oh no, you're such a good student. You got a C.
What class was it?
Organic chemistry.
There you
Oh,
go.
dang.
There's
Yeah.
the reason.
That's a very hard
Extremely
class, isn't it?
Extremely hard class.
Yeah.
What's your degree in?
Computer science.
Oh, yeah. You?
Forensic science.
Okay.
Concentration bio.
Do you think you will become like CSI friggin', you know, detective? Or are you going to do something like in the lab or something?
Yeah, are you gonna do something lame? You know, like yeah. So forensic science is not what you see on TV.
Okay.
You know, on TV they're like doing everything, right? They're going to the place, investigating, collecting evidence, going back to the lab, you know, analyzing the evidence, then hunting the perpetrator. Forensic science is just analyzing the evidence portion, which
Yeah.
in my opinion is the most interesting because you're actually finding answers.
Right.
And then
And if someone pays you, you could tamper with it.
no, future employers, I will never do that. And so you analyze evidence,
Yeah.
and then you assist, you know, the caseworkers, which is the sworn in officers, detectives. So if you want to do CSI, you have to be a police officer, which I don't want to be.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But so I can be civilian, you know. And then you go to court if they find the guy, or even if you make it to court. Most times you don't. They usually plead guilty. And then yeah, you can be an expert witness. And
Interesting.
yeah, that's what I want to do.
What made you choose computer science?
Computer science? Well, it was first of all, like, I got lucky in the fact that, like, you know how, like, the Indian thing is either doctor, lawyer, or engineer.
Yeah.
And like for some reason, I was the lucky one where engineering or CS is the one that I wanted to do also.
Right.
So like all of high school, I was like, oh, I'm doing CS, like, and I never questioned it.
Right.
And then senior year came and I was applying to colleges. I was like, wait a second, why am I doing CS again? And I had no idea the answer. And I looked at other majors. I was like, these all suck. And I guess CS sucks the least out of all of these.
Right.
So that's the one I picked. And I got lucky with like, I really, really enjoy CS.
So you're genuinely interested in it.
Yeah, I am.
That's really cool.
Nerd.
That's good for you, man.
Yeah.
The reason why I said like that I feel like what you disagreed with me on, the reason I say that is because I really wish I did something differently, because right now it's like my main focus is like providing for my family.
Yeah.
Like I know for you guys are just like life's good, you know, you're just everything's done for you in the sense of like you don't have to go out and make money right now. Like you have your place to live, you have a parent, blah blah. But like when you get older, you'll have to think about those things.
Yeah.
And so I feel like fulfilling things are good. You have to have fulfilling things in your life for sure.
Right.
Things that interest you and hobbies and things like that. But it's like a really rare case when someone's like job and like mainstream of income comes from something that's fulfilling. Would you agree?
I think that's like special. It's lucky.
Yeah, it's
People that
lucky.
get that are lucky.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking like worst case scenario, like you're not gonna be that lucky.
Mm.
Well, so the way I look at it is, it doesn't have to be, that's the only way. Like life isn't all work, right? So like the way I look at it is even in the long term, down the line, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I end up not enjoying CS. The CS life or like the work life is like work ends at 5.
Right.
Or sometimes 6 if you're really unlucky.
I love it.
So you get the money that you need, and then
Yeah.
at 6 or at 5 or whatever, and during the weekends,
Yeah.
you do what you enjoy.
Yes.
And like that way you can get like you're working just because you need the money, and then you use that money to, of course, like support your family and everything, and then do the things that fulfill you. And work doesn't have to be fulfilling. Work in the end, you just need the money, and then from there you can go wherever. And like if you can get work to also be fulfilling, congrats, you're better than everyone. You're just happy.
But is that just your personality speaking?
What do you mean?
Meaning like it's your personality to be like kind of like analytical and like think of it like that. But someone else's personality could be like, no, like I don't care about the money because I want to be fulfilled in my career, you know? Do you
think
agree?
so.
Do you agree with what he said?
I don't agree. Like
That's
obviously-
interesting.
Obviously, there's like two spectrums of it. Like no one's saying like you have like you don't care about money at all. That's just like not realistic. And you know like you just only listen to your heart. You have to listen to reason as well.
Right.
But I'm saying like work does take up a majority portion of your life.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. And think about it, 5 days a week, you know, if you're lucky, you know, sometimes you have to work 6 days a week, 8 hours a day for 30 years
Yeah.
until you die or you retire.
Yeah.
That's a large portion of your life. And if you're doing something you hate, you're going to end up hating yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and I know a lot of immigrants have the mindset where it's just like just the money, like, and that's valid, like because they had to provide for their family because they're new.
Right.
But you know, I'd say this new generation, I feel like we have like luxury a little bit
Totally. Yeah.
being here, and I think the mindset it's not gonna stay.
Yeah.
That you know, work is just work. You're not supposed to like it. Like, you know, I don't know. I just don't agree. I feel like you have to at least enjoy some part of your work.
I don't think I'm saying
Not
that.
just the paycheck.
Yeah, I don't think I'm saying that I would hate it. Like I
Yeah,
don't hate my
it's-
job,
Yeah,
but I don't like it either.
yeah.
Like it's not like it doesn't like get me up in the morning. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so ready to log on to Teams, bro, and I'm ready to like,
Only Gary Vee feels that.
dude. I don't like that dude. Anyway, I thought he was cool at first, but then,
Yeah, same.
anyways,
I'm not a big fan.
but yeah, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be fulfilling.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be slightly like tolerable.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think like you're saying, like if you're hating what you do is a different story.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
that's a
if you
different
hate
story.
what you do,
Yes.
then don't do it.
Right.
But
Yes.
if you like, it's okay, and then on top of that, I also get money, and I can spend that money on doing stuff I really like.
yeah.
Yes.
Is okay. But if you hate what you're doing and you're like dreading getting up in the morning and going to work, then don't do that.
Yeah.
Try
Yeah.
to find something else, and like
Yeah.
chances are
Yeah.
you'll probably be able to find something else.
I mean, yeah, forensic science isn't like my dream, you
Right,
know.
right.
I guess I kind of agree with you guys. Like I really really enjoy it, but like, I guess my dream would be like, to be like a writer or like,
Oh, interesting.
like a comic, like a stand-up comedian or something like that.
Right, right.
But I remember I told my parents when I was like 16, I was like, I'm thinking of being like a casting director or something, and they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? No, because they tolerated it. I was like I was like, I'm gonna be a baseball player, and I was like, no, I'm gonna join the army and be like a pilot, and they're like, okay, yes, yeah, sure, whatever. But then when it came time to like actually be serious, they're like, no, you're not doing that.
Right. We're gonna spend
Yeah.
all this money for
Yeah.
you to go to college.
Yeah.
For you to be, casting director.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So, yeah. So I mean, no one has like one passion. So
Yeah.
I guess like the advice I would give is like finding out what you like and what you're good at, and then trying to like make them the same.
Yeah, yeah. What's it like being like? I know you both are like older siblings.
Yeah.
What's it like? Like, do you have to be like an example?
Mm.
Like, what?
You were the younger sibling, right?
I was. I was the baby.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I wasn't the older sibling, because like now that I have a kid, like 2 kids, I feel like that's what it would have been like. Like you have to like they're looking at everything you're doing. Was it like that?
I think so. It was like that,
Yeah.
but like it's like
Wait, what's your age difference?
5 years.
5, right? Okay, yeah, I'm like 6, so it's
Yeah, it's around the same.
yeah.
Right.
But like now is the age when he's like really like changing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm gone. Well, I'm home now, but like I'm at college, so like
Right.
that's when he like is the most like malleable. I guess that's a weird word, but
No, no, I
That
see what you're
makes
saying.
sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
yeah, but I'm not there, so that like kind of forces him to make his own personality.
Oh,
'Cause, like there's a
interesting.
lot of like stories of like younger siblings like literally just copying the personality of the older sibling. It's
Yes,
just like, what are you
yes.
doing? And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, who am I? But like
Right.
that question hasn't really come because like, well, we're still young and
Yeah.
he's still young. He's only 15. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean like, I think like the older example like this is just like do well in school, which my parents tell him anyway, and like
Yeah.
don't be an idiot, which my parents still tell him that. So it's just like it's what my parents tell him, and also be like, look, there's an example of what you should be like
Mm.
for him at least.
Mm. What about for you?
Yeah, for me, I just want to say like
Can I just tell a funny story about your sister?
Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna talk about.
Oh my god, I tell this story to everyone because it's the best story ever.
Can't wait.
So I don't think you've
don't
heard
think I've
this.
heard
Okay,
it.
this is the best story. Listen to this. So Devansh's sister, how old is she again?
Now she's 13.
Okay, she's 13. So we were at Diwali at the temple, and so I was sitting by the door, and me and Tulsi, was this me and Tulsi? Just me. I was sitting by the door, and it was really loud kirtan. You know how it is. So she comes in, and she looks in, and it's Diwali. It's like all like everything's lit up and everything, and literally she said under her breath, like I don't think she knew that I was listening to what she was saying, and she was like, "This whole festival is about me," and her name is Dia. And Dia means a lamp, basically.
That
Like,
mindset has not changed.
and I couldn't believe what I heard. Like I was like, I died laughing so. Oh my god, it was so. And I went over to Tulsi. Like she was like far on the other side of the temple. I went over and I told her the story because it was the best story I've ever heard. Oh my god, she's so cool, your sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
So I was gonna say, I think having like a little sister and being an older brother is like one of the best things to happen. to me.
Really?
Yeah, because it changes you completely. Also because the age difference was so big. Well, I mean, 6 years is not so big, but
I mean, it's
pretty-
considerable.
it's
Yeah.
pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I had like responsibilities, to take care of her. So
Yeah.
in many ways, I feel like like I fathered her almost. Like she's like still a baby. Like
Right.
But yeah, it teaches you like so much. Like it's not just about setting an example. Like it's like my mom said, "Oh, we're gonna be like so great together because like it's a boy and a girl and we're like 6 years apart." But like No, like you still fight over the little things. Like
Yeah.
like I think 2 days ago in Lowe's, like we were chasing each other, like we were still 3 years old. But yeah, it's I'm excited for Chandri because it's a totally different
Yeah.
experience, and you learn a lot about responsibility, and like even still like when we're crossing the street, I ask for her hand, even though like I guess she's like too old for it, but like
Yeah.
that just doesn't go away.
Right, that's like it's like an older brother thing. There's like a need for like a man to like care for others. Like when you get a certain age, like I think you guys are a little bit young, but like when you get older, like maybe 5-7 years, you get this like thing, like a man needs to like take care of someone. They need to take care, whether it be a girlfriend or a spouse or a younger sibling. Like that's where that comes from.
Yeah, and I also just want to say like having like a sister, like it really transforms you also as a man, because
Yeah.
you know like what they go through, and just everything they face, and
Yeah.
all the like gender issues, they become personal to you
Right.
because you have a sister, and obviously you want the best for her.
Yeah.
So like you don't and take any of those lightly, and it just becomes super important. And a lot of guys like my age, like honestly, they're kind of like dirtbags. They just I see how they treat other girls, and especially in college, like
Right.
whatever you assume, it's probably correct.
Right.
How they it's just not the same. It's like literally like when Prabhupada called like men like pigs and dogs, like it
We
was
didn't call it
true.
just men. We called all humans who are not acting like
Oh,
humans. But your point, yeah.
sorry, yeah. But it's true. It's like it just, I don't know. I feel like I'm a better person because
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I noticed like even with my brother-in-law who has two sisters,
Mhm.
he's like more sensitive and more like um caring and kind of like knows what it's like to be what women are like, so he can understand them more because he has that experience with
Yeah.
having sisters. Um yeah, I mean, that's really cool that you feel like it shaped you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it did shape me also, but my sister and I, um, she's older than me, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit different, I would say. Maybe from her side, she can feel like, you know, she understands what boys are like because of me, but I didn't quite understand what girls are like because of her because she's
Yeah.
older.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I remember conversations with my friends. Like, I guess whenever we get to the topic of kids, they're like, "Oh, if I were to have kids, I wouldn't want the girl to be older." Like,
Oh,
most of them say that.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they're like, "Oh, just little brothers are annoying, I
Yeah.
guess." But most of them say that. So
Toshan, did you feel like because it's like three boys and I mean your dad and you and your brother in the house that like it took you maybe a little bit of time to understand girls, or is it
I think maybe a little,
yeah.
but it was like I don't know, like you were saying with like being like protective or not protective, but like supportive and like things like that with your sister.
Yeah.
For me, with my brother, it's
Yeah.
more of like I want him to be thrown into situations where he has no idea what he's doing, so he can figure it out. Because that's the way I learned, right?
Interesting.
And like I think that's the best way for him to learn.
Yeah.
So I just like kind of step back and let him deal with his stuff because
Yeah.
that way he can figure it out himself. And like when people tell me what to do, I don't listen. Like it's just like my parents have always told me what to do, and like I would do it, but not because I wanted to, and
Yeah.
that became the issue
Yeah.
where like I didn't want to, and then I didn't realize why I was doing it.
Yeah.
And then when I had to be doing stuff like by myself because I was forced to do stuff, like figure out a situation by myself or like
Mhm.
whatever, is when I learned why I was doing things, and that's what I want for him. So like I guess that's the difference between like having like a younger sister. I think maybe if I had a younger sister, I would be more like caring
Hands-on.
and things like that. Yeah. But like again, like learning how to deal with like girls and things like that, I don't know if it made it harder actually.
Yeah. I feel like I had to learn it on my own.
Mm.
But
wait, that's actually sorry. Do you?
no, go for it.
I was gonna say like especially in our society, like boys and girls are kept separate.
Yeah.
So even if you have friends, it's like
Yeah.
suspicious.
Is that what people say these days?
Yeah.
Sus?
Sus, yeah,
Sus,
for
yeah.
suspicious.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So like because like lokiaking, like you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that means what will people say? South
Southeast.
Come on.
I'm playing. You know I love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, you hear like when you're at, TSI or something, you hear like, oh, at our temple, you can't, even if like boys and girls are, or when girls are leading kirtan, like only girls can play mridanga and girls can play kartal, and
What do you feel about that?
it doesn't make any sense to me.
Really?
I
Yeah,
don't get why.
yeah.
You don't get why?
I don't understand why.
You don't get why they should be separated?
Okay, well,
I'll tell you why they'd be separated, but I want to hear from you
Okay.
what you feel
I mean,
about it
it's
or why it is.
okay. Well, like, yeah, I'm okay. Well, okay. First of all, feel okay. We shouldn't always assume that when a guy and a girl are together, like it's romantic. It could be platonic and.
Sort of
Yeah,
agree, sort of disagree, but okay.
Okay, yeah, there are instances. Yeah, but I mean, okay, but don't we preach like you're not the body, right?
Yeah,
And you're
yeah,
the
yeah.
soul. That's
But
like
let me just put this out there.
Okay.
This is not about like being right or anything.
Yeah,
Like I have my views, you got your views, and you got your views. We're just talking about it.
yeah.
So like don't hold back from like what you think.
Okay.
Just because Nam Ross is in front of you saying, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think we should, because that's not how it is in the real world.
Right.
Like in the workplace, at school,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless you go to an all boys school or an all boys work, which I don't think exists. At least not anymore. Yeah. You are
IT's sort of like that, isn't it,
A
Toshan?
little bit, yeah.
you are expected to be able to work with the opposite gender.
Yes.
And why, I don't know, I feel like it's a learning experience, or it's just you're just growing together like as friends. You don't have to see it as boy and a girl, like it's just
Right.
friends.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I agree to an extent. What do you feel about what he said?
Like you're saying about like we gotta learn because it's in the real world, it's not separated. I think that's where people that don't separate it have the advantage over us because like we're 30 or like 25 or whatever, and then we
Yeah.
go to work, and that's when we're learning how to deal with people. And like they were like, wait, what are we doing? And we
Yeah.
have to learn then. But then these other people are like, oh yeah, I know what to do, and it's not. They don't even think twice about how to act.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and like that's where they have the advantage. But like for us, it's just like separate it, and then once it's not separated, we don't know what to do. 'Cause, like we have we were never taught
That's a good
like
point.
how to handle that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And then when you
I don't generally have an opinion about it, but I know like I sort of see why it's like that, but I'm like totally open to what you're saying. Like I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know what to do when you get of
Exactly.
age, right?
Yeah, and it happens a lot where it's like you've just become separate for so long that you're just so like awkward when it comes around.
Yeah.
Or if you're around any girl, like it automatically becomes romantic
Yeah,
because you can't.
You just assume it's romantic
Yes.
because you don't know that it's not supposed to.
You know, like I know, like some guys like went to all boys school and now they don't know how to act or
Yeah.
it's just crazy, you know.
So you're kind of saying that it should be more co-ed, so you get kind of like an idea of how to treat the like girl. Let's be serious, like about girls, like how to treat a girl.
Yeah, and not just in a like romantic way. Just you
Like a humane way.
just treat them. This isn't controversial. Just treat girls like people.
Right.
just humans.
That's a really good point. Now, I mean, from my perspective, I see why they're separated. Because in the Shastras it says that no matter how strict you may be, like in a presence of a girl, you'll still feel like feelings of romanticism, maybe. So and everything that's like wrong with sense gratification and stuff, it comes from that, like the sexual energy. That it all stems from that. So to try to keep it away from that for as long as possible is like the best policy until you're of age, and then you kind of like interact with that. But your points are also valid, that when it's like nothing and then all of a sudden 110%, then how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's just like if you separate it, it's like all those, like it's better to make those mistakes of what you don't know and how to treat women when you're like 6 and 7 or like even 12 or 15 or whatever, rather than when like you're 30 and you're at work and you do something wrong and now it's affected your entire career.
Yeah.
All right. And like making those mistakes when you're younger is like, it's still a mistake. You shouldn't do those things.
Yeah.
But like you learn that you shouldn't do those things. But learning those things when you're 30 is just like,
Yeah.
Right.
it's too late.
So you're saying at TSI and everything, it was all separate? It just still is?
It's separate only when it needs to be.
Like in the temple room or something?
Okay. So, yeah. So
Or kirtan or something?
Okay, so yeah. So normally when there's lecture, just by habit, guys, girls, one side. Kirtan, guys, girls, one side. But it's like you eat lunch, you eat dinner,
whoever you want.
you're in the sangha groups, you
Right.
talk.
Right.
We have this thing, it's like the rule of 3. It's like guy, girl can't be like alone together.
Right.
But the thing about that is that you can also form these friendships online now, and there's
that's a whole nother.
there's no rule of 3 online,
Yeah.
So, but seriously, I do think that TSI is like great for that, for just making friends and like disregarding, you have to keep, or it's great for making friends and being yourself, because you're surrounded with other young people who go through the same things, and just props to TSI.
For people who don't know what TSI is the Sangha Initiative.
Right.
And it's basically a youth group
Yeah.
within the Hare Krishna movement. And it's like mostly in this area. Is
in
it
America? It's
It's in America.
it's national now.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have like retreats and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you do things like when you're not on a retreat? Like on the now, or is anything happening?
So like during TSI, we have those Sangha groups, which is like just like small groups of like 6, 7 people.
Yeah.
And then sometimes after TSI, if that group really connects and like they enjoy each other's presence and like they feel like the conversations they had during TSI were really fulfilling and like they learned a lot,
Yeah.
they might continue those
That's cool.
discussions afterwards.
That's really cool.
And like other than that, like of course friendships that you make during TSI, those continue
Yeah.
after TSI. It's not like, oh, we're only friends during this 1 week retreat. It's like, oh, we're friends.
Yeah.
And like we get that 1 week is when that's when we met, and then we like that's how we became close, and then built the relationship or like the friendship on something really, really strong.
Right.
And then from there you can just like become friends afterwards.
Right. I think it's important for kids, like young adults, to like meet other people who are similar to them in the same age group, in the same religion,
Yeah.
same, like you're going through the same experiences.
Yeah.
Like you're going to public school.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going to Gurukul, you're going to public school,
Yeah.
and other people are going through the same things. You guys can like talk about it and stuff. I feel like when I was young, we had like Pandavsena. It's like similar to TSI, but it's a
Yeah.
different name. Pandavsena, and it was like similar people meeting together and stuff. And I shaped some friendships I have till today. It's been a long time, and it really helped me get through things. Like, do you think that like I'm thinking about my own kids' like education. Like I'm not gonna send them to public school. I'm not gonna send them. Like I just think I went to public school, and I just think it's so much different now. Like
Than what it
with
used to
like
be?
with like the online like part of it.
No,
Like
the online
that's
part
just
is
'cause of
completely
no. I'm not talking about like COVID. I'm talking about like
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 assignments
online bullying and online like and like internet and like just trying to like shelter them more than what's going on right now, like kids, like the way they talk, the over sexualization of everything, like it's like really, it's like it's scary. Like when I was in high school, like there was nothing. Like I think in my senior year, a kid had like a little phone, and it was like, and he could like text maybe or something, and that's what like the extent of online stuff was. But now it's like insane. Like kids, I don't even know what kids do. Like how does a teacher even like control like kids going on their phones and stuff. Like you can do everything from the phone. Like you can watch things, you can message people, you can Instagram thing. Like it's like complete distraction from actual education.
I mean, with cyberbullying, the thing is like of course it's like terrible. Like what the things that like there's always those stories.
I mean that's just
and
one aspect of it that I
right.
can think of.
But I don't think, can you fully protect them from that? Like even if it's like, do you plan on homeschooling them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That means you can't have like phones in the house, iPads, anything, right? Laptop.
I mean, I would give them phones like when they become older, but like I think of like all these like Silicon Valley like CEOs, like their children, I heard none of them have like any electronic stuff. Like the stuff that they're creating, like all the apps and all these things that they're creating, they cut their kids off completely from it. Like why do they do that? Like there's a reason.
I understand like your fears of, wanting to protect your kids, and those are all totally valid.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can only do that so much, and
it's the same thing with like separating women and like boys and girls until like a certain age, but at that certain age they don't know what to do.
Right.
It's the same thing with like kids, right? With
That's true.
technology. It's like once you can only separate them for so long. It's eventually they're going to go to college or they're going to leave home, and they're going to become like all these things are going to be available to them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what do?
Like I don't think I would like stop them like at your age. Like I totally wouldn't. Like they want to have a phone, they should have a phone, like because their friends have phones. But like at a young age is what I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's important. I mean, obviously, I'm not telling you how to raise your
of
kids,
course,
but
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are my friends, so.
It's important to have, first of all, have a social circle,
Yeah.
and outside of your family,
Right.
and it's important to have like diverse, backgrounds, and America is really diverse,
Yeah.
and it's like, yes, your kids will see things, but you can you don't have to give them a phone. Even like I didn't get a smartphone till I was 13 as well, and I went public school,
Yeah.
and
Wow, that's really good.
yeah, so there are certain steps you can take, I feel like, before like making your mind up about homeschool. And the thing about bullying now is like in New Jersey it's a crime. It's illegal. So
Really?
Yeah, I actually wrote a paper on cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Really?
And like the best, like Jersey's like second best in the country for bullying.
Really?
And like
number
Massachusetts.
2 in bullying.
Yes.
Wait, what does online bullying mean? Like, what comes under that?
Like any negative thing where you're like hurting.
Like,
other person.
trolling is considered bullying?
Trolling, I don't think is considered bullying. But like anything that makes the person like, actually, I don't know. It's hard to define, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I that's what I want to know. I want to know what's the definition of that. Like,
Yeah.
is because I troll people all the time online. Is that
No.
considered bullying?
No. I feel like bullying is like I think it's the definition of like years ago. It's like the purposeful intent of like inflicting, like negative energy,
Harm or something.
yeah, a harm on
Yeah.
another,
or threat of harm.
yeah,
also,
and-
I
Oh,
think
threat,
counts.
right.
and it's illegal now. So like, say for instance, somebody did get cyberbullied, you can report it to the school, to the police, and
Yeah.
they'll take action. But
Interesting.
yeah, and public school, like we said all these things like, oh, we struggle with this, but honestly, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Really? You had a
Yeah.
good experience?
Yeah,
I mean, I
That's
didn't have a
so
good
interesting.
experience.
I had a
but
great
I had an experience that made me who I am now.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like I actually regret going to private school, like even as a kid, because I feel like there were so many opportunities I missed.
I feel like I had a good experience. Like high school was cool. I liked it. But I wouldn't necessarily want my kid to go through that because there was like certain like rites of passage that I don't necessarily like am proud about. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, okay. I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
like whether it's like the association that you take or the things you do that you regret or just like I know it shaped me to who I am today, but if I can protect my kid from going through that, then why should I purposely put them in that situation?
But if he doesn't go through that struggle, he's gonna go through another.
Another
A
struggle.
different one, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
And
And the whole thing about like protecting your kids from being bullied, there's also the thing that no one really wants to talk about of we have to make sure that they're not the bully.
Yeah.
And like I think that's even harder to
Yeah.
teach because like personally I was bullied a lot and that made me turn around and the only way I could cope with that was being a bully back.
Really?
And like I regret it. I think that's one of the worst decisions and one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. And like it's like the worst thing you can be is be mean to someone.
Yeah.
And like it's so much easier to just be nice to people. It's just so easy to be nice.
Yeah,
You have to go
yeah.
out of your way to be mean to people.
Yeah.
And like I think by protecting or like sheltering someone from all of that, eventually when it does happen, they don't know like how to react, and that kind of like where they turn around and become negative is like what happened to me. And like I just wish that hadn't happened to me, where it was like, oh, don't worry about bullies, like it doesn't happen, that's not a real thing. And then all of a sudden it happened and I was like, wait, what? This is not allowed.
Yeah.
My parents said this doesn't happen, and then my reaction was to be bullied back.
Right.
Hurt people.
Interesting.
Hurt people.
Hurt people. Yeah, that's true. Switching gears a little. How's COVID been for you guys? You've been in school.
Yeah.
You've been working, right?
I've been working in school. Yeah.
And school. So anything changed like
Um.
majorly?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all
there's-
wearing masks and stuff, but besides that,
Yeah. No, they're. It's So I'm in person. It's hybrid, and there's just a bunch.
oh,
of
so
us
you're in your dorm, but you're online class.
so hybrid. Yeah. So I live on campus.
Yeah.
And normally you have classes, 2-3 times a week, but now you have it once in person, and so they split the class, and then the other time it's online, or you don't have class that day. You just have like work to do.
Oh, interesting.
So they split the class. 10% of the population gets random tested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how my school does it. I go to University of New Haven. And what else happened? Oh, you have to report your symptoms every day.
Really?
You have to make reservations before you go anything. When you get food, you can only take it to go.
Oh, interesting.
You can't gather in like more than, whatever. The school is
No
like,
Indian circles?
there are no Indians.
Oh, there's no Indians at all.
Yeah, at least not in the undergrad.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few in the grad program, but
Right. PhD in computer science.
yeah, probably, or engineering.
Right.
But yeah, going to the gym, you have to make a reservation. Going to the library, you have to make a reservation. I'm pretty proud. It's pretty safe, and I'm an RA as well, so I got to make sure everyone. There's like you can't have guests in your room. It's pretty strict.
What about for you?
So like mine's been online, and it's online next semester as well. But I actually just confirmed that I'm going back to campus next
Really?
semester in January. So I'm living there.
Wait, everyone's going back?
No, just me. Like they opened it up.
Just
to
Toshan and
just
all
me.
of Rutgers.
All
It's
of Rutgers
just
is
him.
mine. I claimed it.
Yeah.
But no, they're opening it to like 3,000 students, I think.
And who gets
how'd you
to how do you get it?
So well, like I think they made first priority to people that need it, that are like home situation isn't like right for learning.
Right.
They're the top priority. Or people that are international students who have class at like 2 p.m. except it's like 2 a.m. there, and they're like cannot go to class, and so they come back. They're allowed to come back.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
after that, whatever was open was just randomly selected, I think.
Yeah.
And so
you got lucky.
I don't know if because everyone that applied got it.
Oh.
Everyone that I know that applied got it.
I mean, probably most people don't want to
Don't
go back.
Yeah, don't want to go back. But like online class is still online. There's no classes in person still. So all my classes will be online. It's just that I'm gonna live there, and then I have to get tested once a week. As of now, I think they might make that more. I think it might be like once every 3 days next
wow.
semester.
Dang.
Yeah, and because the campus is so big,
Yeah.
the chances of you being in a public situation is very, very low.
Right.
Because there's only 4,000 people, except campus is enough to fit 100,000 people every day.
Right.
So like, there's barely anyone there. You don't need a meal plan, so I have a kitchen, so I'll be able to like make my own food, get food outside, whatever.
Right.
So like, don't need to go to the dining hall to get food. All the libraries, everything is closed.
Wait, you have a kitchen? How?
It's an apartment. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
I
a
see.
Rutgers
Okay.
apartment.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow, that's really cool. COVID's been okay for me, but lately I've been feeling like I'm missing like people for sure, like just hanging out with people and being with people at the temple and kirtan and things like that. Kirtan, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like I fully took it for granted in the past. Like, it's just kirtan, you know. Now it's just like starved of like I can't even imagine what it's gonna be like when we're like 100-person. I don't know if that'll ever happen again, but 100 people in a temple room,
the
you know.
US just released its first vaccine today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did it go well or something?
I don't think they vaccinated yet. I think they just got to America.
Like the vaccines just got to America?
What? No, I mean it's been here. I mean, I know they're in New Jersey. They're starting to give it out on Tuesday to
Yeah.
first responders or healthcare
Healthcare workers
and then
Really?
the elderly and the employers of the elderly.
Wow.
Employees. Yeah. So
But has it affected you guys in the sense of like your mental well-being as well?
yeah.
I feel like it's affected me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to admit it so much, but I think it did. Like I have this feeling of like, oh my God, every day is like almost exactly the same.
It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it is. How do you know what that movie is?
I mean,
We're not that young.
I thought young people are not until 80. Was that an 80s movie?
I think 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I didn't watch it,
Okay.
but I know the premise and I know Tom Hanks is in it.
You know the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Or Spark Notes.
Spark Notes.
Oh wow.
Carried me through high school.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
even,
that's funny.
even college sometimes.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah, but like the thing is, for me, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
But then like the one thing that helped me was that I would realize that it wasn't just me. It was literally every single person is going through the exact same struggle.
Yeah.
Like I can't really complain because a lot of other people have it much worse off.
Yeah.
And like the one thing that, at least for me, is like COVID opened up a lot of opportunities for me.
Really?
Like with like spiritually, like we started a book club. Sham from DC, he started a book club, and then like people from DC, Jersey, like Virginia, like California, Canada. That's the state. I always forget Canada exists. But
Who cares?
like people,
Who cares?
like
Yeah.
all of us, like we just meet once a week. We used to be twice a week, but we were
Yeah.
once a week. We just read, and like not just reading, but it's also the association of like people that are like keeping you grounded, and
Nice.
that really helps. And then like since Karthik started, and then I've been reading Bhagavatam
Nice.
with two of my friends, and then like we do that every single day. And then we, after Karthik ended, we were like, oh, this is really like helping us. So we've been continuing every day, and then like
Wow.
Fridays we discuss what we've read for the past week.
That's
Or we,
great.
Like last Friday we listened to a Prabhupada lecture, and
Wow.
like I've never done that. So that was a brand
How
new
was that?
experience. Honestly, it was hard to understand.
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah.
we listened to one with the transcript.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were following along to that,
Very
and that
cool.
made it so much easier.
Wow.
But also like he connects everything,
Yeah.
and it's crazy how he connects. Like is one like once he was going over the first line in the sloka
Yeah.
for like 45 minutes. It's like, how do you connect so many things to
Yeah.
one sentence?
That's
And,
cool,
like we
man.
just read it, it's like, oh yeah, it's just that, and then he's just like, oh, it's this, and this.
That's great.
Like it's just opened my eyes to so much more.
Wow.
And like if COVID didn't happen, I'd be in school and I'd be busy, or at least I tell myself I was
Yeah.
busy, and I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
have time for any of this.
Right.
And like being home has forced me, or not forced me, but like again, it's like the thing like with my parents always telling me, oh, we're going to temple, we're doing this, doing that. And like I was always like, okay, I'm going, but like I don't know why I'm going. And then when I went to college, there was no one telling me anymore. And now that's when all of a sudden now I want to do it, and because I want to do it, I'm more invested in it. And like I enjoy going to temple, and I enjoy reading, and I like enjoy chanting and things like that.
Nice.
And
That's
like
great.
without COVID, that probably never would have happened.
Yeah. So like you feel like you're getting something from it.
Yeah.
That's. Did you always feel like that?
Throughout COVID,
No, just in general with spiritual stuff.
no. Like I wasn't like I was just doing it just cause I didn't really know why.
Yeah.
And then once college hit, I was like what's the worst that could happen? Like I'm losing a Sunday here and there, but like I'm getting so much more. Like I've made so many friends of like
Yeah.
I enjoy kirtan and things like that.
Yeah.
But like now is when I'm like, it's not just kirtan, it's more than just kirtan. It's like reading the scriptures, and they're really interesting to read, they're really interesting to learn about. Talking about it, meeting people that have the same like wants, like people that want to read, people that want to learn.
Yeah.
There's just so much, like it's easier to build relationships and like friendships with them because they also want to better themselves. And like sometimes like of course like every other day I'm like, I don't feel like doing it, And then like because I have someone keeping me like accountable, it's like, why aren't you doing it? We have to do it today. We've done it every day.
Yes.
It's just like helps me keep myself accountable.
Yeah.
And so that's also helped me like learn.
I think it's really important for people or like young people to discover their spirituality on their own, you know?
Yeah.
Like on their own in the sense of like owning it themselves, not just that, okay, my parents tell me to do it, or my Sunday school teacher tells me to do it, or I'm peer pressured into doing it because my friends from the temple are doing it, but like to really discover it for yourself. And I think it's awesome that you feel like you discovered it for yourself.
I mean, I don't think I've fully yet. But
but
like I'm trying.
Yeah, you're trying to, and there's some attraction there, which is builds over time, I would say. Do you feel like you have discovered it yet, or still on the process, or not interested, or
Oh, well, I'm not at Toshan level yet.
Toshan level?
Sound effect?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Toshan level.
I'm sorry. My own sound effect.
You might miss the moment.
No, and it's okay. The moment's gone.
Okay. So, but, yeah. I will say this: the coronavirus, it has led to a lot of like introspective.
Yeah.
And I guess going back to TSI, like they started doing like I guess monthly like talks with like, so that's been like extremely helpful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like once a month, you know, you just tune in for like an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
and they had the virtual retreat, which was amazing. It was like 3 days,
3
2.5
days,
days.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, it was like like 8 hours a day, which was a lot.
Oh, dang.
At first, but or maybe like 6, but you know, it was totally worth it. You know, just having that association, especially when like you're so starved of it, like you said.
Yeah.
But I guess, for Karthik, I started reading the Bhagavad Gita. That's been really transformative, and then I stopped when it came back. But I mean, I want to get back into it. It's
Yeah.
you know, it is a struggle, and it's supposed to be a struggle because
Yeah.
you know, you're not supposed to sign on to anything right away. Like if I was 100% Krishna consciousness, you know, my story wouldn't be interesting. You know, I'd just be like, you know, just a brahmachari. Which I'm not taking anything away from brahmacharis, like they're amazing, but I'm just saying, you know, it wouldn't be me.
Right. Everyone has their own
Right.
journey.
Right. Yeah, but you know, what's the coronavirus, you know, the pandemic quarantine has been really helpful for actually, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, over the summer, which I know has impacted like a lot of people and a lot of people in Krishna consciousness as well. You know, you did a podcast about it.
Right,
and, you know,
right.
Like TSI did a talk about it, and you know, it's being like alone has really like caused everyone's focus just to go on that because they have nothing else to.
Yeah.
Distract them.
Exactly. So, you know, I'd say that's one good thing. Like without the coronavirus epidemic, I don't think I would have had the forum that I hosted. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You hosted a talk at your university, right? Online.
yeah, it wasn't with the university, but
Okay.
I had the university's help a little bit. Like I had its connections, but
Yeah.
yeah, without it, like that wouldn't happen.
Cool. Wow, that's amazing. So I guess we're coming to the end here. It's been an hour and 15. Maybe we could.
Damn,
Yeah.
that flew.
Wow.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about like what are your future aspirations?
Spiritual or
Otherwise, anything.
okay.
And how are you gonna attain them, or how do you attain goals? That's a cool topic.
How do I attain goals?
Yeah, like do you make goals, and like
Yeah.
how do you stay motivated and stuff? You want to start out?
I mean, with goals, it's just like once I set that goal, it becomes a little easier. But like setting the goal is where I struggle. It's where like I question myself, can I do this? Like, am I capable of doing this? Like, is it worth the time and things like that? But once I set it, and like the way I set goals isn't just I write it down or something. I tell other people, and like accountability just helps me so much.
Yeah.
So by telling other people, it becomes like a thing.
Yeah.
And like, oh, now people are asking me when they're like, oh, like, how's your day? Like, have you worked on this? And that's when like people are asking me is when I like, oh, I have to do it because, like people are gonna ask me and I have to tell them, like I have to give them a response.
Yeah.
And like that way, it just becomes easier for me to like achieve goals because people are like always asking me about it.
Yeah. For me, so I have like, there's like the short-term goals, like I have a planner, write stuff that
Oh, cool.
it's actually scientifically proven. Like when you write something down and you cross it off, it's like you're tricking your brain. It's a dopamine hit when you cross it off and it's
Oh
done.
yeah, because it's like an accomplishment. Yeah.
So there's those. I have a whiteboard on my desk, so I have like a to do for like the larger goals, so like academic. And there's also honestly, when I chant, I try to have a conversation with Krishna. I try I just tell him like, for me there are like 5 relationships, right, you can have with Krishna, like child, like parent, friend,
Yeah.
lover, and I forgot the last one, but
I think you got them all.
okay. So for me it's like friend, like older brother type.
Yeah.
And I try to tell him, and I try to listen, and I try to treat him like I would treat like my friend, and I don't ask him for anything because that's not how he works.
Right.
And then also, but that's important, you can't blame anything on him either.
Right.
So when things don't go your way,
Yeah.
I think in the Gita it says like when you stop, or I don't know if it was about Bhagavatam, but it's like when you stop blaming things on me, like you're already like in the right direction, like you're doing fine.
Interesting.
So for my goals, I tell him my goals, and I write them down, and they're always in the back of my head. So I feel like I have purpose. Like for like when I'm like studying for an exam, it's like like why am I doing this? Like this sucks. But then like back in my mind, it's like, oh, so you can have a career, so you can do something fulfilling, so you're passionate, so you can help people.
Yeah.
And you asked what was one of my goals, and I didn't want to talk about this on the podcast, but it was like to be more comfortable with myself and Krishna consciousness. And how I plan on doing that is I currently do I kind of made this up, I don't know if it exists, but subtle preaching. So when I'm at school, what I do is I wear my tulsi mala and my pendant out because it grabs attention, right? It's like shiny.
Right.
And then when I'm at temple, I tuck it in because no one needs to see that.
Right.
But I've had a lot of conversations like, oh, I like your pendant. I'm like, oh, then thank you. It's like, my God.
I can't see it.
Oh, it's like
Okay.
Radha Krishna.
Krishna, yeah.
It's like from Amazon. It was like $12.
Nice.
Um,
Link in the comments.
yeah, but so it's
That's really interesting.
It's and also when I'm walking to campus, I have either my clicker or I have my bead bag just out. And that took a while. Before I stuffed it in my pocket.
Oh, interesting.
And then, but it was hard.
Yeah.
And then, so then I was like, screw it. If anyone has anything to say, they can say it to me. So then and then you know what?
That's bold, man.
No one even noticed. Well, what I noticed.
There's just something wrong with that guy's hand. There's like a bandage or something.
No, what I learned about in college is that no one cares about you.
Yep.
You agree?
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Even
Yeah, because everyone's in their own heads and in their own lives.
Yeah.
They don't care about other people's lives.
At the gym as well. Like I'm a skinny guy. And I'm like, oh, everyone's gonna make fun of me. And then I remember one time this really big guy, and he just came up to me. He was like, "Are you done?" I thought he was gonna be like, "You suck," and
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Let me use it.
Yeah, but no, no, they're just there for their own thing. But yeah, no one cares about you. If that's what you take away from this podcast, no one cares about you.
Listen. I tell my wife this all the time
Yeah.
because she's gonna hate me for saying this, but she's very, very in tune and kind of particular about what other people will think, what other people will feel, what other people will judge her for something, and I'm like, they don't think about you that much. They don't think about you as much as you think about what they think about you.
Exactly.
You know, and it's I totally 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you do that. And so you've been speaking to people about it?
But it's subtle, so it's I'm not actively going out and
Giving out books and
yeah,
stuff.
giving out books, but it's so the best way to spread Krishna consciousness, in my opinion, is through friendship. People they do Krishna consciousness and then they become friends, but for me, I become friends, and then when you just become interested in each other, like I'm not afraid to talk about that part of me anymore. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've had so many conversations with like non-devotees, just about the Gita and the philosophy. Like if they're going through something,
Yeah.
I'm not like throwing shastra at them or anything, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like, well, we actually talk about this like at my temple, like, this, it's interesting. Like,
Oh,
this
cool.
is just another perspective to think about.
Yeah.
And, oftentimes it works. And, they're,
And if it's coming from a genuine place, like you're just like
Exactly.
trying to share like what
Exactly.
you've learned,
Yeah,
and to try to help someone.
Yeah.
And it's not you're like not trying to like put it down their throat, you know?
It's not like, oh, you're suffering, well, here's the Gita. This is what you need right now. It's just because I come to a place where I genuinely believe like Krishna consciousness can heal, the world and help people.
Wow, that's great.
If we, just took like a little bit from it, something.
Right.
But I feel like that's the best way to spread Krishna consciousness is through friendship.
Wow, that's really cool. What do you feel about that?
I think I agree, and it's also not just friendship, but also like you were saying, like the genuine feelings and like the genuine like trying to help them is like when you tell them like, oh, do this and then all your problems will go away,
Yeah.
they're not gonna listen to you. But then when you're like, oh, I had a similar problem and I
Yes.
dealt with it this way,
Yes,
then
yes.
they have that, they're able to keep their mind open and be able to like, oh, like maybe I should try that. But when like at least when people told me like, oh, do this, like journal and all your problems will go away, or chant more rounds and all your problems will go away, I never listened. But then I had people that were like, oh, I was really struggling with school, I was really struggling with this or that, and I chanted or I journaled or I like started reading and it really helped me. Then I have like, oh, maybe I should try that.
Yes.
And like that's the difference. Like people, instead of people telling you, it's you yourself come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
And like there's a whole like teaching, like it's called like Socratic seminar or like Socratic teaching, is like instead of telling the student how to do the problem, you ask them questions so they eventually get to the answer themselves. And like that's how like the right way to learn or something is.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so like by people asking questions or like giving examples, eventually I come to the answer myself, and then like that way I can be better or like more understanding or more like accepting of that idea or that like solution. And like by turning that around and being like, instead of being like, oh, do this and then like this issue that you're talking about will go away, instead of that, like I try to like say, oh, I dealt with this, and this is my story, and like you can take whatever you want out of it.
Yes.
And from that, then like they feel that you're being more genuine about it, and then that way they become more accepting and more understanding, and then they ask the questions themselves. So they'll come to Krishna consciousness instead of you pushing Krishna consciousness to them.
Right.
Right. That's really cool. That's really good. You guys are really smart. I admire you guys. I really do. I wasn't like what you were when I was your age. Like I didn't have that kind of like depth of what you guys are talking about. Like you guys like thought about things a lot, and I don't think I fully thought about things. I think I was just like going into things in Krishna consciousness because it was like what I grew up with and what I thought was cool and what my friends who were devotees like to do. So I just like went into it, you know. But I think more recently, in recent times, in the past like maybe past 5 to 7 years, I kind of really like thought about it more, you know, and got into
But
that way.
I will say, like, we wouldn't be here without your generation, like
100%.
specifically like the older youth, if
Yeah.
that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But even more specifically, like Gopi Didi and Aksh,
Right.
because they're the ones who like push this like thought onto us, you know, like
Interesting.
why are you really here? Like, you know, at
Yes.
13, like, you know, that's, I think, you know, Gopi, I did a project and about like literally like why am I in Krishna consciousness, like,
Wow.
and she pushed that, and like I don't say this enough, but like incredibly grateful for both of them,
Yeah.
and you know their Sunday school.
Yeah. For
and-
those of you who don't know, Gopika Kanta is our friend. She actually came on the podcast.
She was here,
She
yeah.
was I forget, episode 11 or something like that. And that's one of my favorite episodes. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we discussed some awesome things, and Aksh was there as well. But yeah, I mean that's really great that you guys have found that through them. I mean it's actually priceless, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it sets you up for your life of like something to lean on and something to believe in, because like in this world I feel like people are just believing in things that are like temporary and that don't bring lasting happiness. It's like it's like trying to build a boat that's got like holes in it and
Yeah.
stuff, you know. You're just destined to sink.
Yeah, and uh, it's you actually really do see that in college itself. Like people like, especially as an like an RA, I see like how people cope with their problems, and
Yeah.
the answer is like alcoholism and
Yeah.
drugs and bad company, and it's like just it's kind of like shocking like how quick people are to or like how they do deal with their problems is like super unhealthy
Mm.
for them. So
Yeah.
like when I was a freshman and I had was going through a tough time, like really loneliness, and I don't want to call it depression because like that's very serious, but I was really sad,
Yeah.
but I turned to I told myself I'm not gonna turn to like things that aren't good for me,
Right.
such as like alcohol and drugs and bad company. So, and Krishna consciousness really did help me with that, like through meditation and physical exercise, even though I know that's not Krishna consciousness, but
Right. I mean, keeping the body fit so you can do Krishna conscious
Yeah.
things.
Exercise,
Yeah.
the Bhagavad Gita, Kirtan, and lectures.
Mm.
It helped, and that suffering and my coping mechanism,
Yeah.
it made me healthier.
Right. Something I'm interested in with with people your age is like how much Krishna consciousness do you want to take? Like how far do you want to go in the sense of like there's people who are like, okay, I'm gonna chant at home and I'm gonna read
Yeah.
and I got devotee friends.
Yeah.
There's people who are like, I'm gonna do that plus I'm gonna like maybe get initiated.
Yeah.
And then there's like people who are like, I'm gonna be a GBC one day.
Oh wow.
Like people who are like, I'm gonna take over the world. The Krishna consciousness, like so, like 100 gazillion %
Yeah.
into it and doing like how much do you want to take from it?
You wanna take this one?
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's like,
I mean, you don't have to know actually. That I should have said that. I don't think that you need to know. Maybe if you did have an idea, but
for me, it's more like I have faith and I have trust in Krishna, and I hope that he'll be able to help me.
yeah,
And like, right now I don't know, and
right.
like
yeah,
that's scary, but it's also that I don't know, but Krishna knows, and like I'm sure Krishna hopefully will have like do what's best for me,
yeah,
and like that fact has helped me like I don't know where I want to go. I don't know if I'm gonna be still Krishna consciousness in 10 years. I don't know if I'm gonna be chanting. I don't know if I'll be initiated or anything. But like the fact that Krishna has my back has really helped me be like it'll be okay, because whatever comes in the future, I'll deal with it when it comes, and I'll have Krishna's help to deal with it when it comes.
nice. So I feel like what you're saying is like you have like a strong faith in God.
I don't know about strong,
Okay,
but like
but you have faith in
yeah,
God.
I think so.
That God exists. That God is guiding you.
Yeah, because like I've asked those questions of like, does God really exist? And like there's
Right.
this one moment, like it was a time where like my relationship with my parents wasn't very strong.
Yeah.
I had no friends in school. I had no friends at temple. I just wasn't happy.
Yeah.
This was in like early high school, maybe late middle school.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, okay, we're going to the C&J temple opening. And I was like, I don't want to go. I want to sit and watch YouTube, whatever.
Right.
And they forced me to go. And like I was sitting in the kirtan, and like for some reason I got really like emotional, and I was like begging Krishna. I was like, please, like I don't know if you exist, and I need you, and if you're here, please show me. And at that same moment, the pujari threw the garland into the crowd, and it fell right on my lap.
Wow.
And like that's when I knew like that only happened because Krishna was there for me, right?
Right.
And like
Sorry. Not to make light of that, but that's awesome.
yeah,
And you were saying,
like that's the moment where like I tell people that like just when they're questioning it, and also like when I'm questioning it myself, I look back at that moment, right? Like there's also this quote from Einstein. It's like coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. And like everything that goes bad, we point like, oh, Krishna, you did this, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
But everything that goes good, we're like, oh, it's just a coincidence, and we don't give him any of the credit, and that's
Right.
not fair. Like if we're gonna point all the bad things to him, we also have to point all the good things to him.
yeah.
And like he's just helped me so much, and like just thinking back at all those moments is just what helps me keep that strength.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Einstein because like we're both STEM majors, right?
Mhm.
And being a STEM major and Krishna
What's that
conscious-
mean? What's STEM major mean?
Science, technology, engineering, mathematics.
Oh, nice.
So, being especially like a hardcore science major, for me right now, it's tough for me. Like, I'm not being in Christian consciousness, but like learning about two different like ideologies. Like I just took a course, biology to evolution, and
right.
so, and then I remember going to temple, and then one of my other friends was like, "Oh, I don't believe in evolution. I don't believe in the moon landing," and I'm like. But there's like evidence and
Right.
and it also didn't like Prabhupada said like we didn't like really land on the
He
moon.
said a number of things that
Yeah.
you can't go to the moon,
Yeah,
I
right?
think he says like we thought we landed on the moon,
Yeah,
but we didn't actually land on the
exactly.
moon.
Right.
So-
There's one story before you go on. There's one story which I found interesting was a disciple was reading out to Prabhupada like a newspaper article, and they were like, it was about the moon landing,
Yeah.
and they were like, it is like the surface of Arizona or something.
Yeah.
Like that's what one of the lines in the article was, and Prabhupada said, see. They don't need to say that. Like they don't need to say it's like Arizona, but because they're faking it, then that's why they want you to like kind of like relate with what they're trying to say. But they're just outing themselves. Like it's like, oh, when a burglar goes to someone's house and then they turn on the light and they see the burglar and the burglar's like, I'm not stealing, but they're obviously stealing. They don't have to say that, you know. It's a story about
Yeah.
Prabhupada said it. I didn't say it, but
Yeah, but it's like interesting. It's like
I don't believe we land on the moon, by the way. But just continue.
you can't just drop that.
Dude, if I drop the things that I
Okay.
believe, man,
We don't have-
be like,
We gotta talk about it off mic, but
yeah.
it's like it's interesting. Like what
You were talking about evolution, yeah.
So like that, I'm not gonna really get into it. But I'm just saying it's like learning, like being scientific thinking, and then also like religious.
Yeah.
But I've made my peace with it. Like
Yeah.
I grew up with doubt, but then, I said, Krishna consciousness makes me a good person at the end of the day, and I'm okay with it. If this is really for nothing, like I'm not losing anything.
Yes.
Really, like if I die, I just die. But I'm helping people, I'm helping myself. I feel like I'm strengthening my character, and also vegetarianism, helping the environment.
Yeah.
Um,
That's great. Cool, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming to do this. This was awesome.
yeah,
I love talking to you guys. We didn't have a topic per se, but I think we touched on a lot of things,
Yeah.
and it was really cool things that I am interested in personally. So you guys are on Facebook, Instagram.
I'm not on Facebook because I'm not old.
Guess I'm old then.
Yeah,
I'm old.
20.
I tag Toshan in all kinds of stuff on Facebook, like Toshan, look at this, like an idiot.
They're funny stuff.
No, but yeah, Instagram. Yeah, yeah. So if you're out there and you just want to reach out,
Yeah.
because you're not alone, you can message me. My Instagram is dsheth, so DSHETH
Yeah.
01, and
I'll put it in the comments.
yeah, and if you don't have Instagram, my email is just my last name, my first name at Yahoo.
I'll also get that. And you're on Instagram too.
Yeah,
right?
I'm on Instagram. You
Okay.
can just read. And honestly, if you want to like have like a more like private conversation or anything, like I always love to talk to people. Like you can just get my number. You can just ask Nam and I'll give him my number.
Yeah.
These guys are super friendly, and even though I'm a lot older than you guys, I just like appreciate hanging
You're
out
not
with you.
that much. You're only like 17 years older. That's not that much older. You're still like brother status. Not uncle status yet.
Right. Not uncle status. But anyway, that's episode 35 with Toshan and Devansh on the late morning program. Thanks, guys, again.
Thanks for
And
having us.
yeah, no problem. We'll do this again sometime.
Yeah.
It's always fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Haribo.
Bye.
Terrible.